Hello, and welcome to MetroArts. I'm your host, Cheryl Coonan. Here at MetroArts, we highlight some of the best in the business, from fine artists, photographers, and performing artists to cinematographers and musical artists, all from the Metro Detroit area. On today's show, we have 3D artist and sculptor Joe Mazzola, fashion designer Bridget Sullivan, and hip-hop artists Eddie Logix and Doc Waffles. We'd like to welcome 3D artist, sculptor, and music educator Joe Mazzola to the Midtown studio. Welcome, Joe.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Thanks for being here today. So we want to talk about your art, of course.
Okay.
But I want to start out, I have to ask you about your time spent in the band Sponge. Huge rock band from the Detroit area, and you've also been in other bands. So tell us a little bit about your life as a rock star.
Well, first of all, Sponge was a long time ago, 20 years ago. And it was great. We did really well on the first record, sold 1 million, and things were fast-paced and very busy for 5 years. And then music tastes shift constantly in America. And what's hot one day is not the next. So after 5 years, our sound was not the thing.
Sure.
And other sounds were. And so the band, you know, sort of lost a lot of its popularity, and I stuck it out for another 5 years after that, but then after that I left the band and joined the Detroit Cobras and played with them for 6 years.
Okay.
And then left them, and now I'm just doing art.
Great, and if this is too personal of a question, let me know, but was it difficult to maintain any sort of a home life during those years of being in a band and being on tour and things?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost impossible. The schedule we were on was so fast-paced that I wasn't home very often, and probably suffered some relationships because of that.
Sure, I can imagine it would be a really intense field to be in.
It is, and you've got to really want it. And I never wanted to be a rock star, I just wanted to be in a successful band.
Sure.
And if you are in it to be a rock star, then you're in it for the wrong reason.
On that note, you haven't given up music completely. You do teach music at the Berkeley Music Company.
Correct.
What kind of advice do you give to students whose dream is to become a rock star?
That's funny that you asked, because nobody has come to me and expressed that. No one has said, I want to be a rock star.
Wow.
And I'm glad, because that's not a good goal.
Sure.
They just want to learn how to play guitar, and they want to learn how to play it good and correctly and not develop any bad habits. And that's what I teach them.
Great. And what would you say if someone said, I want to be a rock star like you were?
I'd say, well, do you like music? Do you have a passion for it? What kind of instrument do you play? Do you have time to practice? Is your heart in it? Mm-hmm. Because if it's not, then I would say, you know, maybe you should do something else. Sure.
It would get old really quickly if you're not passionate about it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So how did you make this transition from the super fast-paced lifestyle of traveling the globe and playing music and living this kind of rock life to the more serene act of creating art?
Well, the transition wasn't stopping one and starting another. I still do both, and it was actually a spare time thing. I don't teach every day of the week, and so those days I'm not teaching, I make art, and even days that I am teaching, I make art. So I had the time. That was the main thing. I had the time, and I just had to buy the right materials and the right tools and just do it.
So another kind of creative outlet for you.
Well, I guess I was into art when I was younger, before I played music, and more painting and drawing than visual art and sculpture. But once I picked up the guitar, then I put everything else aside and didn't tap into that again until just recently.
Sure. Well, your stuff is amazing. Can you kind of tell us what repurposing is as an art form?
Well, if you look at some of these pieces, they all have elements of repurposed or reclaimed materials. On this piece here, these gauges are, of course, non-functional, but they were once functional, and I think they just make great embellishment to the lamp.
Absolutely.
The pipe is new, the bulbs are new, and this bulb cage is new. But everything else, this was a fit underneath a grand piano leg.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's repurposed. The E is repurposed. This old gauge is repurposed, of course. So it's functional. You have a lamp with a light and art mixed in there.
So there's such a history behind every piece. Where do you kind of get all of your materials?
Everywhere I can. I search yard sales, estate sales, garage sales, resale shops, eBay if I have to, but I really hate the shipping cost, so
Sure.
I try to avoid eBay. Antique shops, and sometimes people see what I'm doing and just give me stuff.
Right.
And sometimes it's appropriate, sometimes it's not, but
Yeah.
that's kind of cool.
So I know we kind of talked about this piece. You've got some other items here. Can you kind of tell us about each one and what the inspiration behind them were?
Well, of course, they all have elements of steampunk or goth or industrial. I try not to limit it just to that genre.
Sure.
The crows are prefabricated crows. I believe they're made here in Michigan, and they're decoys. And then I embellish them with anything I can find. And I love the wrought iron wheels that I found in an antique shop, and I thought, oh, those would make great wheels on the crow.
Right.
And of course, oil cans repainted gold for wings, and then brass horns on there.
Very cool. Very cool.
Brass grommets and brass horns.
So some of these, are functional, but not everything.
Well, then there's that little oil can there that is just something to look at, not really a toy. I wouldn't suggest anyone buy it for their children. There's small parts on it, and it does nothing but just, visual art.
Wonderful. Do you feel that fame has helped your career in art or hindered it or neither?
I'm not sure about that. I don't really think so. I think that if I made pieces that weren't appealing, that no amount of fame would help me.
Sure.
So I think the pieces speak for themselves, and when I do shows, people who don't know me, which is most people, really like them.
Well, your pieces are beautiful and very,
Thank
very
you.
unique. I know you have a company, Eastworks Detroit, where people can find your work. You
Correct.
also have pieces at Gallery 555 and the Detroit Artist Market. Where else can people learn more about your business and find your work?
I have an Etsy shop, Eastworks Detroit, and then I have a Facebook group, Eastworks Detroit, that you request membership to, and you can see postings of the latest things I've done. But yeah, at Gallery 555, there's a series of crows there. I believe there's about 8 of them there. No 2 are alike. And at Detroit Artist Market, there's, I think, 3 fans, maybe 6 fans, something like that.
Very nice.
Yeah,
very
losing
nice.
track of my stuff.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your work with us today. We really appreciated having you here.
My pleasure.
And you're watching MetroArts Detroit, produced at Wayne State University. MetroArts Detroit would like to welcome fashion designer Bridget Sullivan to the Wayne State University campus. Thanks for joining us today, Bridget.
Thanks for having me.
So it's been a really great year for you as an emerging designer. You've interned for Diane von Furstenberg, a Grammy-nominated singer, has worn your designs on her world tour, and you've been featured in fashion magazines. I know you use some really unique materials for your designs, so tell us a little bit about the designs and the material you use.
I studied fiber arts at the College for Creative Studies, and I learned a lot of different techniques such as shibori dyeing, batik. I worked with vintage materials, repurposing, and one of the things I learned at CCS was about this fiber called kozo. It's the bark of a paper mulberry plant, and so I boil it and sculpt with it and can create some cool embellishments and sculptural designs.
That is so cool. As I mentioned earlier, Esperanza Spalding, a Grammy-nominated singer, she wore your designs on her world tour. She mentioned that she especially admired your barnacle dress, which we have here today in the studio. Can you tell us a little bit about the dress and your inspiration behind it?
I was looking at a picture of the Titanic decaying underwater, and I was inspired to create this dress. I made all these teeny tiny little barnacles made out of the kozo fiber, and I hand stitched them onto the dress. And then Esperanza actually wore this dress in Tokyo to perform it.
Nice. It's been all over the world.
It has.
Very cool. So how has Esperanza embracing your designs helped your career?
It's been amazing to have such a respected and talented artist perform in my designs. And she wore one of my dresses in Tokyo, she wore a couple in France and Italy, and now I can say that my dresses have been all over the world, which is amazing and like really unexpected.
Very cool. I know you were featured locally in Style Line magazine as an up-and-coming designer. Your necklace was featured on the cover of the magazine and a dress was featured inside. Tell us a little bit about the inspiration process and the difference between designing jewelry as opposed to clothing.
I come from the same place when I'm designing either a dress or a piece of jewelry, because I'll come up with a story in my head and I'll draw tons of sketches and take millions of notes and do research. And basically I started doing the jewelry because it's a lot easier to fit a lot of different women in a necklace than a sculptural bodice made out of the kozo. So basically it's come from the same place. It's just kind of like a little more freeing to create the jewelry.
Very nice. And I know you've got a blog, The Bridget Show, and on your blog you kind of give a behind-the-scenes glimpse of the material before, during, and then the finished product of your designs. How does that process help you grow as a designer?
I think it makes my dresses and garments and jewelry more interesting to see like the inspiration and the process, especially when I'm working with the kozo. Like when people don't understand when I say my necklace is made out of tree bark, right. Like this is what it really is. And any other materials, like I've worked with a vintage wedding dress, like it's good to show before and after. And then when my dresses are worn by Esperanza or I'm on like a TV show like today or doing a fashion show, I can show that on the blog as well. So
it's very cool to see the before and after.
Yeah.
What would you say is your biggest hope for the future of Bridget Sullivan Designs?
Well, right now I'm just having an amazing time making things, and everything is one of a kind. And I'm working with Esperanza, and I would like to continue to work with other musicians, and but also I'd like to make things for sale. So I'm making the jewelry, and I'm working towards making multiple sellable items. So you can look at, that'll be coming in the future too.
Great. What do you look forward to most when you're kind of conceptualizing a design?
I love the whole process. Like, I love telling a story, I love doing all the research, I love figuring out how to make the dress. Like I taught myself how to do chainmail recently, like when I was making the necklaces. So it's just, the whole process is fun. And then I like when the dresses are done, figuring out the photo shoot and working with hair and makeup and models. Like I've met so many cool people. And then just like seeing what happens, like unexpected things, but the whole thing. I love making clothes,
Great.
Basically.
Well, your passion really shows through in your designs. Who would you say would be the ultimate celebrity or musician to wear your designs, if you could choose anyone?
Well, I've always been a super Taylor Swift fan.
Yeah.
She's like so like, you know, girly girl, and everything's really dramatic, and I am the same way. So like I would love to make something for her.
She would look great in your designs. She'd be a perfect model for them. So where can people go to support your designs and learn more about you and your
My
dresses?
website is called BridgetSullivanDesigns.com, and that has pictures and also has a link to my blog, which is thebridgetshow.blogspot.com. And so if you want to check that out, hopefully soon I'm going to have things for sale, and just whatever happens next.
It's very exciting. I know you mentioned right now that everything is one of a kind and nothing, you don't sell the items per se right now, but that is something you're looking to do in the future. Mm-hmm. And all items would be one of a kind. Is that how it would work?
It's in process. Like I like making the really special one of a kind pieces, but I would like to be able to have many things for purchase, like
jewelry, dresses, wearable things that are versatile for the kind of the masses.
Yeah, and then I can continue to make one-of-a-kinds for performances and whatever I need to do, but then it'd be nice to be able to be like, what are you wearing? Oh, Bridget Sullivan, you know.
Very nice. And I know you mentioned your blog and your website. Are you also on social media?
I am. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, and I'm always posting pictures, so you should check that out.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We're definitely really excited to see what's ahead for you. And we're going to enjoy more of the Bridget Sullivan Fashion Show now. You're watching MetroArts on Detroit Public Television. Join me in welcoming hip-hop artists Eddie Logix and Doc Waffles to the Midtown studio at Wayne State University. Thanks for being here, you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Sure. Eddie, let's start with you. So you're a producer, an MC, and an audio engineer. How did you get started in the rap scene?
I started out, I just wanted to rap, I guess, and needed a way to record and needed beats to rap on, so I started making my own beats and recording my own music and learning more through that. And then I started with a group called Midcoast and doing a bunch of shows in the area and kind of linking up with a bunch of other artists, which is how I found Doc Waffles.
Very cool, yeah. And how did you get started in rap?
I came to the rap game through creative writing, poetry specifically, but I found performing it was somewhat dry. Going to poetry readings wasn't always the most fun and exciting. So rap gave me a more dynamic platform to perform in.
Very nice. Now, how did the two of you start working together?
We were working on a commercial salmon boat, and it was miserable. We were out in the rain,
It was.
just getting pelted in the cold, and we said, why would we want to do this when we can make tunes all day?
That's very true. So, being musicians, what is your take on the current state of the Detroit music scene?
Oh, it's more colorful than ever here. All the genres are starting to overlap. So you're getting some very exciting new sounds coming out, and you know, we have great shows every weekend. It seems like there's always something to do. There's so many creative people around. Seems like some of the social conditions in Detroit that make it a hard place to live make it a great place to make art.
Yeah, very cool. And now you guys represent co-owners, right?
Co-owners.
Tell us a little bit about that.
It's kind of like a artistic collective, somewhat of a crew, but it's not. It's open to everybody. It's kind of a movement that we're just trying to use to, you know,
We know so many creative, talented people. We needed to come up with a term or a word to cover it all in an umbrella, and so we developed co-owners because we all share a lot of the same dream and a lot of the same creative goals.
Well, now, I know your style of rap isn't quite the norm. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Well, I mean, a lot of rappers are content just to wear chains around their neck made of gold and silver that are worth a few $100s, whereas we wear priceless artworks that are worth millions.
I like it. I like it.
Thank you. It was painted by Henri Matisse.
Very nice. And what would you say sets you apart from other rappers, other than what you just mentioned?
Oh, I think we draw inspiration from some non-traditional sources. A lot of artists outside the rap game, painters, filmmakers, we consider ourselves artists more than just rappers.
Okay.
Also, we light the big money candle.
Right, yeah, I was going to mention that. You guys have some interesting rituals that you kind of perform at every performance. Tell us about the big money candle.
The big money candle is just another part of the lifestyle movement. Something to represent co-owners, light the flame, gets everybody excited, and sets off the party, you know.
Big money energy is filling the studio right now.
I'm sure you can feel a little bit of the big money energy.
I do feel it. I do feel it. It's great. So next you're going to be performing a song called Paintings of Cats. Tell us a little bit about how the song itself came about and then also the title.
Well, I had celebrated my 30th birthday, and one of my coworkers bought me a cake. And instead of eating it, I just kept it in my room for a long time. And the next thing I knew, a year had gone by, and I still had this moldy, untouched cake, and it got me thinking about my love life. And so I wrote a song called Paintings of Cats.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. I'm guessing we'll hear how it's going to flow together. Very cool. And we mentioned the big money candle. What other kind of rituals and traditions do you have before you perform?
Sometimes we like to bring out a symbolic cactus or a spiral spruce to represent nature, which is very dear to our rituals. And we like to drink a lot of Mr. Flav, which is an aerated water product from Nevada that we get imported specially for our shows.
Yeah, we usually have a long-haired fellow with a long beard named Mr. Merriweather who joins us on stage sometimes as well.
Well, maybe we can start some new rituals today, too.
Oh, that would be exciting.
How can people reach you guys or learn more about your music and upcoming projects?
Well, we have parties all the time at the Atlas Penthouse in the Eastern Market that everybody's invited to, or you can find us on the internet, Doc Waffles, Eddie Logix on all social media.
Wonderful.
We love to get to know people who listen to our music.
Well, thank you so much for being here today, guys. It was fun. We're looking forward to seeing you in action in just a moment.
Yeah, thanks.
Up next, a performance by Eddie Logix and Doc Waffles. You're watching MetroArts Detroit, produced at Wayne State University.
grab the blindfold and feel for the brushes under my coat. Painting of boats. I'm gonna have Kentucky Derby hat catalogs mailed to your house wrapped in plain brown paper, on which is printed, here's the smut you requested, wrapped in plain brown paper, done in big block letters. Hide your life savings in the canvasy straps under my hat. Painting of cats. First of all, I want the baseball tickets you owe me, and a more disciplined aim that only fires at Capital Poultry, taking out personal ads in the back page of the news. Golfview Caligula seeks an all-new rib to remove. Let's play hooky. Let's stay sloshy till your David Hockney swimming pool freezes. Then play hockey, appear in alternating fogs. Untrustworthy tears, undressing herself to a P-Rock beat that I hadn't heard in years. Chicken bones, batteries, dirty drink umbrellas and glass menageries. Caesar me, brown Bagley, manhole-covered gas, plasma screen. Madam, tonight I'm trouncing your high Miss Pac-Man scores. Probably Gallagher, too. Baby, grab the blindfold and feel for the brushes under my coat. Painting of boats. I'm gonna take all the hairs you leave on my pillowcases and weave them into baskets for my antique postcards. I'm gonna glue this unused plane ticket to the bottom of my shoe, then set the land speed record. Hide your Plan B pills in the canvasy straps under my hat. Painting of cats. My 30th birthday cake has turned a year old. It's sitting in the corner of my room covered with mold. It seems so lonely all by itself in the cold. I bought it a cake of its own with happy birthday written in gold. Lizzie is married now. Mary's in Manistee. Lillian's a lesbian, I think, hanging her master's degree. The popsicle stick picture frames fill the walls of my lonely place. Who wants to stare at an empty trophy case? Nobody. Take your retainer out, like you're high on muscle relaxers. Painting of cat. Painting of cat. Painting of cats. Painting of cats. The animal, not the musical.
We hope you enjoyed today's show. I'd like to thank our guests Joe Mazzola, Bridget Sullivan, Eddie Logix, and Doc Waffles for joining us today. I'm your host on MetroArts, Cheryl Coonan, reminding you to foster your own creativity and always support the arts wherever you go.